Most people store the biggest fat loss problems in their own kitchen. Often people have the best intentions of not eating snacks. But then, if you create an environment where there's easy, convenient food, you'll end up going for foods that you didn't plan on eating at the start of the week. And then when you do start to feel like you have these foods, there's often these downstream effects of, I feel like I've got no self-control, and why do things just feel so difficult? Here's the thing, your environment influences behavior more than your motivation. The solve to this though, at the same time with creating better environments for those said behaviors, is relatively simple. People repeatedly eat what they have easy access to, not what they would necessarily want to have in a perfectly motivated state. So instead, what we can do is these three things. Number one is to remove the triggers. Know yourself. If you're watching this video because you can relate to having a pantry problem, you probably know what the exact food is that's going to be the main limiting factor for your results. You probably know when you're going to have it, and then you're going to have to deal with the next thing of, if you were a crackhead, this can be inappropriate, would you store a large amount of crack in your house if you wanted to get off crack? You probably wouldn't. So why would you be doing the same thing with your foods? If you know there's certain things going to break you and you can't control how much you're having, this ain't some scenario of, I'm just going to have a little bit of like 3 bites of chips and then I'm going to pack it away and store it into my fitness pal. No, this is the thing that set the stage for you to have to blow out the rest of the night. If you know that there are these things, then don't store the crack within your house. Next is to increase friction. So this can be a relevant thing as well, particularly if you've got kids. Often people have scenarios where they'll say, I didn't want to have chocolate, I didn't want to have chips, but my kids want it, or a variation of that. And I get it, you can't completely chuck away your kids in the process of fat loss, would not recommend. But at the same time, what you can do is have predefined packets. So let's say it is a bag of chips and that can be in a predefined kids pack. So you've got to manually open the thing and start to have the whole food versus an open packet. It's easy to grab, or chuck things away in Ziploc bags, or even hide things at the top of the pantry so the kids and yourself can't access it as easy, or if your mobility impaired, you can even put it down lower in the cupboard. Some variation of things like that. You probably know where these things are in your house. You can even have it where it's only going to be in your house on the exact days you need it. So if you guys would tend to have some kind of food on Wednesdays for school, and you usually go to the supermarket Tuesday night, but you also go to the supermarket on Saturday, for example, you wouldn't necessarily buy it Saturday, because then you've got Saturday, Sunday, Monday, where you could have busy, stressful days or more cravings involved, where you can just go off and have those foods versus just getting the Tuesday night, which you probably might do anyway if you are someone that ends up eating your kid's snack. So if you can add more of these friction elements, it makes the whole thing easier to adhere to. Point 3 is really something that just emphasizes the friction point, is make it really inconvenient for you to get it in terms of the actual pantry design itself. So it might be keeping certain foods locked away in closed containers, or putting the stool that you need to get to the top level in the shed, or things like that. You'd be surprised how much of an effect that has to people, whereas they would want a snack or they'd want these foods if it's right there and convenient. But do you want it enough where you're going to go out to the garage and get the step ladder to then get the food at the top shelf? It kind of feels a bit crazy doing it, and usually that's just the level of friction you need to actually stick to the things you need. Do these things, and now suddenly you're not having to rely on motivation and willpower and getting this downward cycle when you fall. Instead, what we're trying to do is this: make bad decisions harder and good decisions easier. And just a simple pantry redesign can do that. Thank you for watching.